Hello, everyone, and welcome to this full moon Gemini reading for 2022. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome if it's your first time. Welcome back. We have some really exciting and juicy and potent energies that are surfacing for us during this full moon, and I'm really excited to dive into them with you. My name is Charlotte Alea Dovechild. I am an oracle for Mother Earth and for our evolution upon this planet. I'm a priestess of the divine feminine, as well as the union between the feminine and the masculine. That's really my passion and my purpose. And I'm an intuitive guide. So I help us all individually and collectively heal our karma and our fate and transform and transmute it into our destiny. What we're really here, why we're really alive, what we're here on earth to do in these lifetimes. Okay, so let's dive in. In these readings, I draw 4 cards. I draw a card for our lesson for this current moon period, which is beginning about the day before the full moon, going all the way maybe about 5 or 6 days after it. So really it's relevant for about a whole week. And then the second card is I look at our shadow. So what is wanting to come up, be revealed from beneath the surface? What have we hidden that needs to be known at this time? And then our gift, what is the boon? What are we to receive from these energies that we are working through? And then the wild card, what other energies are present that we really need to be aware of right now? For these readings, I use this tarot deck, Tarot the Spirit by Pamela and Joyce Eakins. And yeah, let's just dive in right away. This is a really interesting spread today because I was expecting to see some swords, some air cards, because Gemini, it's a full moon in Gemini, and we have a lot of air energy because of Gemini. Gemini is really the sign of communication, of relationships. It's the way that it's art. It's a sign of the intellect. It's the sign of information, the way we process information. So what's really interesting, I'm going to show all the cards up front actually for us. This is a little different. I usually just do the reveal as we go. But we have, let me see if I can arrange them to here. So this is our first card. We have Resurrection. We're going to get into this in just a minute. We have 2 Earth cards, which are Pentacles in the typical tarot. And we have a Fire card. So isn't that interesting that during this moon where air energy is really prominent for us, that we are being asked to really get grounded and rooted because we have 2 earth energies, and we're being called to continue to nurture that fire energy that Sagittarius has activated within us because we are still in that potent period of the Sagittarius sun. Okay, so we have 2 2s. And so if you watch my forecasts before, I do these twice a month on the full and the new moon. You know that I really like to pay attention to the numerology. And we have a major arcana right off the bat as Resurrection, number 20, which is a 2. And we have 2 of Fire as our wild card. We're actually going to sort of be talking about these together. I'm going to start with this one, and then I'm going to go into the wild card, because these are almost leading the reading today. And then those next 2 cards are where the alchemy and the transformation begins to happen, the healing. Okay, so in the typical tarot, as I said, this is the Judgment card. And we actually had this card come up at the beginning of October, if you've been watching these readings since then. And at that time, I believe it was coming through as our gift, which meant that there was potent new transformational energy that was being presented to us, and that is now beginning to lead us through the darkening of the seasons here in the Northern Hemisphere during the winter period. That this is the energy that's really going to be latently operating within us if we let it. And so the cards are really showing us how we can let this energy, this transformational energy, lead us through the coming months. So I mentioned last week, I think I mentioned it. I'm pretty sure I mentioned it in the video. I know I talked about it in my newsletter that I send out with the video, that there is like, I was feeling that the beginning of this really like potent, powerful transformational energy beginning to build. And what's interesting is I've been listening to other people's forecasts between then and now, and I've heard about 3 other people saying that as well. And I'm not even sure about the astrology of it because I'm not an astrologer. I am a tarot reader and intuitive guide, and I read everything through my own internal lens. And 99.99% of the time it aligns with whatever is happening cosmically. So there is something that's happening. I'm not sure what it is, but there is some really potent, big transformational energy that's building, and that began a couple weeks ago. And that's why we were really being guided into that place of surrender. If you remember on the last new moon, right? And so that energy is still operating, definitely. And so this energy of resurrection it's operating like in the dreaming phase of us. It's operating on a very internal level. And I heard a very potent question that this card was asking us, which is, who do we want to be in 2023 and beyond? Right? What is the vision that we're holding for ourselves, that we're incubating within us? And maybe this version of you haven't even shared with anybody else. Maybe it's just coming through in like sweet little moments with yourself, or in dreams, or in random little moments. Maybe you haven't even quite articulated it within yourself. Maybe it's simply showing itself to you in who and what you're being drawn to right now. So that's a very potent question, is who do you want to be in the coming year and beyond? Because that transformation then begins to occur and is already occurring with this Sagittarian energy inside of us. We are creating a new dream for ourselves. We are creating a new reality that is beyond the old patterns, beyond our fate, beyond our karma. It is a completely different story. We're writing a completely different story for ourselves. Okay, so then let's go to the numerology. So this is a 2. And as I've said before, all 2s represent polarity. But because this is the last 2 in a series of 2s in the major arcana, since we have the High Priestess and then we have Justice, which is called Karma in this deck. And that card also has come through a couple times for us the last few months. We then... I'm sorry, I'm having a totally random thought where I'm remembering that this card didn't come up in October. I think it came up in November. Confusing the cards, so apologies. I don't quite have it. I should have done my research. I should have gone back and looked at the cards of the previous months. Anyway, where was I? So this last 2, this is the card before the World card, which is the final stage in the major arcana. This is the point where the polarities come back into union, right? So all polarities, so black and white, dark and light, feminine and masculine, spirit and body, soul and body. So they all come into unity, right? And through that unity is birthed a third. And so this is really potent and important information for us on how our transformation from fate, from the old patterns of the past into a new timeline, this is how it occurs, is through the uniting our own internal opposites and creating a third. So we're going to come back to that in a little while, a little bit further into the forecast, because there's more to say on that. Let's next jump to our next 2, the 2 of fire. So this in other decks is 2 of wands, and we have the word convergence, and we have a beautiful image here. So if you remember our last forecast 2 weeks ago, we had a lot of 2 energy there as well. And we had a moment of choice where we were making new choices for ourselves. And what I'm really hearing from this card is that the choice has been made. Even if you haven't in your mind made a decision, your heart has already made a decision. And that decision, that choice, that direction that you have decided upon is the right choice. It is the right choice. And how do you know it's the right choice? This is not based on anything from your mind or intellect. It is not based on any external form of authority, right? It's not like you're just going to get a sign that this is the right choice. Sometimes you will, sometimes you're not going to. It depends on your personality and energy type. So the answer, the way that you know that the choice you've made is the right choice is that you made it with your heart. So your heart is leading you in that direction. That is the only way that you can know, really. So trust that your heart has made the right choice, that has made the decision and has chosen a direction that is in coherence with your destiny, right? And as we make that choice, what happens is we start to doubt ourselves. And this is totally freaking normal because we have minds and our minds are polar. And so we can never fully come to a place where in our mind is satisfied, especially if it's something new. If we're choosing a new direction, because our mind does not have any information from the past to base that this is, to know what's going to happen, because our minds solely operate from the past. They project into the future based on the past. That's the only way our minds know how to operate. So because the mind doesn't have any information from the past, there's going to be doubt. There's going to be confusion. And so we really want to stay in our hearts with this and continue to remind yourself and come back into your heart every day and feel the frequency of that new direction that your heart has either decided on or is deciding, and trust it. Just really trust it and feel it. Feel the resonance of it. Feel how much it lights you up. Feel how much it ignites your spirit. This is a fire card. This is the flame. This is your life force. Feel your life force light up with just even the resonance of choosing you, choosing what you really, really desire, right? So that's why I wanted to bring in this energy first before we move into the next 2 cards, which shake this up a bit. Okay, let me just see if there's anything else on that I wanted to share. I think that's it. Okay, so let's move on to these 2 earthy cards. So this is, I'm holding it up reverse for a reason. So this is our shadow, 8 of earth. It's called the mountain. And this is, so earth is pentacles in typical tarot deck. So the next 2 cards are pentacle cards. And we are really being shown, when I saw this card, I was like, oh, it's really important that we see this mountain upside down. But let's actually look at it right side up for a moment before we turn it back side up. So mountains are insurmountable challenges. I mean, they're not always insurmountable, but to scale or climb a mountain is really freaking hard work. It's really hard. It's really freaking hard. I mean, it takes so much preparation, so much planning, so much gear, and it's just so exhausting, right? If you think about, like, what I'm seeing is that since we made our choice and we have the new direction that we've chosen, and now we're like, oh my gosh, how do I even get started? Because what's in front of me just seems so insurmountable. Like, I don't know how to get there. I don't know how to be this new person I want to be. I don't know. So the answer to that is in the reversal. Because the mountain is telling us to go down inside of it rather than scaling up it. This is an inward journey. It is an inward journey first and foremost before it is an upward journey. We have to go in before we can truly ascend to where we want to go. So we have a new initiation before us. We have a new journey before us, and it is an inward journey. And there might be a part of you that's like, oh man, not again. Seriously, why can't this one be the easy one? But here's the thing. The reason why this card is, and this energy is coming up as our shadow is because, like I was saying with Two of Fire, our minds are clicking into the ways that we have overcome challenges in the past. So the only path that we see before us right now is the old path that we've already taken probably many times, a path that took so much effort, that was exhausting, that was self-sacrificing, that and there is a part of us that is talking to us right now that's saying, I don't want to do that again. Please, not again. I don't want to feel that way again. I don't want it to come. I don't want my desire to come at such a freaking cost, right? Just think about the ways that we have been taught in this culture to achieve, to have success. They come with incredible costs to our spirit, to our livelihood, to our emotional fulfillment, to the connections we have with our loved ones. And that is not the way. That is not the way. That voice inside you that is saying, I don't freaking want to do that again, is the right voice. It is the right voice. And so we need to right now listen to that voice that is saying, I do not want to scale that mountain. And to listen to, not to, to listen to that voice of the past that is showing us, right, the way that it's going to happen if we go through this, if we just going to go through it the same way we've gone through it. We need to listen to that voice as a voice of intelligence and make a different choice, because we don't have to go that way. Instead, we can go inward into the center of the mountain instead. By making this an inward journey rather than an outward journey. It will also be an outward journey, but first and foremost, it is an inner journey. Okay, so let's move on to the final card, because this is a lot. There's going to be a lot in this card. I literally wrote like so many notes. There's so much spilling out while I was really meditating on the power of this card. So this is our gift. This is our gift. And I want to just pause for a moment. 5 of Earth. This is 5 of Pentacles in other decks. It's called the nadir. The nadir is the low point, right? So almost like the top of this mountain is a pinnacle. The nadir is the low point. The nadir is the center of the mountain. The center of the mountain is where coal and other rocks transform into gems and diamonds. And that is the place within ourselves, as without, so within, that we are being asked and invited into, not just now in this next week or two. We're activating the energy this week, but this is going to carry forward for many weeks, even maybe months. So the 5 of Pentacles is one of those cards in the tarot deck that most people were like it is not usually energy we like to see, right? It often represents sort of this place of like destitute, loneliness, resourcefulness, exhaustion, feeling separate. It's feeling lonely. It's not feeling poor. It's not an invited a place that we like to invite ourselves into. And so I really love that this card is coming up for our gift, because it's asking us to really look at this card and this energy in a very transformed way, right? We're looking at this card through the lens of our souls, not our egos. that tend to only see the negative of this, because there's so much potent goodness in this card that I am really cracking open to through even just doing this reading. I'm seeing these beautiful layers of this card, this energy. So let's look at the numerology of this. 5. So fives are, I've always considered fives to be the number of humanity, because in the 5, and this is why fives are often very challenging places to be, 5 is the midpoint between the 1 and the 10, or the 1 and the 0 even. So 1 and 0 being that union with source, right? That non-duality. And in the 5s, we are really feeling our duality. We're feeling the separation from source. Thus, we're in our physical humanness. So in this essence, we're really being asked to embrace our physical humanness deeply, deeply, deeply. Just as and so this energy, the 5, can feel rather dense, right? So just as within the mountain, the rocks and the stones, they turn into jewels and gems and diamonds through pressure, And so this essence is really around our humanness being pressurized, and being pressurized in a way where we are then going to begin to alchemize and transform, because we transform through pressure. So the other aspect of 5 that I want to bring up is, so 5 comes after 4. So at 4, we know that 4 is the most stable number, right? 4 is almost the number of Earth. 4 legs on a table, 4 legs in a chair. That's how things stabilize. And so 5 brings us out of that stabilization with movement. Things begin to turn. Things begin to turn and churn. And so just like, you know how if you've been, the principle of inertia, right? When some things that are not moving, to get it moving, like if you've been sitting on a couch for a few hours and you're so comfortable, and the idea of getting up and going out and walking your dog or going for a run and going to work and getting your chores done, it just seems so impossible because you're so comfortable in that state. That's inertia. And so we are in the 5s, we're breaking that inertia, and we're, in order to change and shift, we're beginning to move again. So there's this slow churning that is beginning to happen, and it's beginning to happen deep inside ourselves, way beyond our intellectual awareness, because this is a physical alchemical process. The way that gems transform is almost a mystery. Right? I mean, rocks transform into gems is almost a mystery, right? They transform through extreme pressure. So we are also taking the grit of our current experience. The way that we are right now in this energy, being like, I do not want to experience that again. I don't want to experience this anymore. I'm so done with this pattern. I'm so done with it being so freaking hard. That's the grit. And so with this energy, we are being invited to fully allow ourselves to experience the grit and come into honest relationship with ourselves about how irritating it is. Allowing ourselves to feel it. Because when we come into that full, honest relationship with ourselves, that allows it to be seated within us. And we end up really feeling the depths of our current relationship to that. We can start to unravel the layers of it, and more information about that pattern can start revealing itself to us. Perhaps through meditation, through dreams, through journaling. in spontaneous moments, through creative projects, it just starts coming through because we have said, yes, I'm going to work with this. I'm not going to push this discomfort away. I'm going to acknowledge it and fully acknowledge my desire for it to change. So feel the grit of the old patterns and allow it to activate you, and allow it to activate an alchemical process of transformation within you, just as the mountains transform rocks and stones and coal into gems. You are going to begin to transform that old pattern, that the grit and irritation from that old pattern, into something new. So I wanted to share that last night I dreamt of, oh, and by the way, I did something different this month. I drew the cards the day before because I wanted to see if it would bring up anything in my dreams or visions or meditations between yesterday and today when I'm filming this. And it did. I actually ended up dreaming of the Tour, which is an alchemical hill or mountain in that's physically located in Glastonbury, England. And it is known to be a portal to Avalon, which Avalon is a place in sort of what's called the other world, the mystical dimension beyond time and space, spiritual dimension that allows for individuals to go through a spiritual rebirth. So the Tour, this hill, this mountain, is this alchemical, it's a physical place, but it contains this incredible alchemical spiritual energy of spiritual rebirth and transformation. And actually, the mountain and hill itself creates deep inside its caverns, and nobody knows how it does this, but it creates two streams, one that is red in color and one that is white. And these two streams have incredible healing properties to them. And so I visited the Tour twice when I went to Glastonbury this summer. And the second time I went by myself, and afterwards I came back to my Airbnb, and I took a nap, and I awoke with the most incredible vision where I was actually the mountain, and I was hearing this song being played. And I'm not going to sing it to you because I don't have that great a voice. But it was a repetition of one line over and over again, which was, heaven and earth remain, heaven and earth remain, heaven and earth remain. And I saw coming forward through me, out of me, the two streams, the red and the white. And I realized the red is earth and the white is heaven. And when I say heaven, I don't mean heaven as in a Christian afterlife, if you're good kind of heaven. I mean the heavens, the place of the eternal now, the place of our souls, right? So what this story and this mountain holds is the mystery of resurrection and rebirth. Nobody knows how this mountain creates these incredible two healing streams that have the purity of our humanity and the purity of our souls, and merge the two together to create that sacred third, right? Nobody knows how it does it. It just does. And so what I am hearing from that dream, from these energies right now, is that we simply need to trust that that alchemical process that lives within that mountain lives within us too, that we can activate that. So there's something else I wanted to show you on this card. You see at the bottom here, at the center of the mountain, there is a keyhole. So what I'm seeing is, oh my gosh, there was something I wanted to show you. I am going to, I don't have it in front of me. I don't have it in front of me. Okay, I wanted to show you this, but I don't have it. There was one card in our reading last month it was the Mother of Water. And it was this very oceany, watery, and I called it the, what did I call it? Oh, I called it the cosmic ocean of love. So Mother Water is this very watery realm, and within the center of that watery realm was a portal, right? So, and the message of last reading was really around surrender and surrendering to this ocean of love that is going to carry us to our next destination. And what we're being shown right now is that ocean of love lives deep within us and is the keyhole that lives within us. And so what's the key? The key is our grit. The key is our grit. The key is me. The key and the keyhole come together to create the sacred third. So the key being our humanity, being the density, the weight of our human experience, and the keyhole being our soul, our eternal selves, our own cosmic sea of love. And that brings us back to the resurrection card, right? That union of opposites within us that creates the sacred third. So to allow this process to happen, to allow this rebirth to happen, as we continue to, and this is often a repetitive daily process that we do through our spiritual practice, that we do through our meditation, that we do through our intention setting, right? Where we continue to marry our human experience with our divine souls, our human experience with the love that we know exists eternally within us and all around us. We continue to marry them together. And through that continual bringing together, the alchemy happens. And then one day soon, maybe next week, probably not next week, a few weeks from now, 2 months from now, 3 months, a year from now, I can't tell you when it's going to happen. But then one day that door opens and we find that we are standing on a completely different point. And the path up the mountain becomes clear to us. It's a totally different path than before. And it might even be a secret passageway. It might be a secret passageway that takes us right up to the zenith, to the top. But it becomes clear. So one day soon, you'll wake up and you'll just know which path to take, the easiest path, the new path. It'll be a completely new path. Either be a path, it might be a secret passageway, it might be an elevator. We don't know yet, but it will become clear. And it'll be unlike anything that has occurred in the past. So that's our reading for today for this full moon in Gemini. Thank you so much for being here. If you would like some personal guidance on your path, I offer individual readings on personal destiny. So reading that looks at the fated and karmic patterns and what you are healing and the new path that you are creating before you. And I offer soul Q&A. So come with a question and I offer guidance upon that question. Or I offer dream readings as well. So I specialize in dream work and really looking into the depths and information and guidance that your dreams are providing for you. So all of that is offered and explained on my website at themagdalenheart.com. And I offer all my readings sliding scale to make them accessible. I will see you next time in a couple weeks. See you then. Bye.